Thank you for everyone who is joining us live, and for anyone who's listening to the recording. Thank you for listening in. Um, just want to quickly review the agenda for today, and we're just going to jump right into it. So, on the agenda for today, we have a presentation from the Flatbush Development Corporation, FDC. They'll be talking about youth services and programs they have, followed by a presentation from Canva. They'll be talking about their LEAP program, specifically about fostering family acceptance for LGBTQ plus youth. And then last agenda item is some pre-planning for the youth conference, and then other business. So without waiting any further, I'm going to kick it over to Eric, who will start off our first agenda item for tonight.
All right, thank you, Cornella. My name is Eric Ost, co-chair here of the Youth Services Education Libraries Committee. Good evening, everyone. So our first up, without further ado, 50 years old this year, the Flatbush Development Corporation. So very excited to have you guys. I feel like you're so on the radar in the community right now because of the celebration and your gala that was really successful. And you guys do a lot of great work at the school that my kids are in, PS 217, and after school programs there. So very excited you guys are presenting today, and that everybody here and others who will view this presentation will know much more about what you guys are doing. So James, without further, I'll kick it to you. Do you have PowerPoint or things you need to do? Yes? All right. So I think you are ready to roll, and then we'll do questions afterwards or however you want to do it.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great evening on this cold Tuesday. Sorry, I'm already behind. So my name is James Conley. I am the Director of Youth Services here at Flatbush Development Corporation. And we wanted to just share with you some of the amazing things we do within our youth and education programs. So very quickly, we're going to dive into our youth department. All right, so the Flatbush Development Corporation, FDC, has over 50 years of experience providing high quality after school and summer program for both elementary school students as well as middle school students. FDC currently operates 2 DYCD Compass elementary programs, 2 DYCD Cornerstone programs, and 3 learning and enrichment after school program supports, which we call LEAPs. FDC youth programs promote best practices in social emotional learning through evidence-based curricula such as Stanford Harmony, Second Steps, CPUT, which builds communication, collaboration, empathy, and conflict resolution. Our after-school programs also provide structured academic supports, including homework assistance, literacy and math supports aligned with school day curricula, and enrichment activities in STEM, arts, and physical education. We also provide nutrition education through the expanded food and nutrition education programs and prevention education through counseling via partnerships with Riseborough's Prevention Education and Knowledge Program, which further supports the holistic development of students and our families. So we first want to jump into our school-based programs. Our school-based programs are our Compass and our LEAPS programs. So those are our school-based programs. All right, school-based programs that we have are housed in PS 217. We have a Compass and a LEAPS program, as well as PS 152 and 315. We also have a LEAPS program in PS 134. So the Compass program, the Comprehensive After-School Systems of New York program, provides high-quality, enriching after-school experiences for students in New York City public schools. They're designed to support academic growth, social-emotional development, and family stability. The Compass programs offer a safe and structured, engaged environment for young people during critical after-school hours. Flatbush Development Corporation, or FDC, currently operates the Compass programs in PS 217, 152, 315, and LEAPS programs in 134, 217, and 152, collectively serving over 500 participants each year. Being housed directly within these school communities, it allows us to strengthen the connection between the school day and after school time, creating seamless continuum of support for all students. Our Compass programs offer a diverse menu of activities that nurtures the child and inspires a loving and learning environment. Enrichment activities including math and reading enrichment to reinforce core academic skills, cooking, health, and wellness activities promoting nutrition, life skills, and healthy habits. We also have partnered with Cornell University New York Extension, robotics and coding sessions, including students introducing students to STEM, problem solving, and 21st century technology. Entrepreneurship, which is our Rising Stars, are workshops that build confidence, creativity, and financial literacy. Dance and performing arts, allowing you to express themselves, develop discipline and teamwork. Chess to strengthen critical thinking, strategies, and focus. And music appreciation via showbiz at 152. Each program is aligned with school day goals and built in closely collaboration with principals, teachers, and support staff. The partnership ensures strong communication, individualized support, and considers the environment where students feel seen, they feel known, supported, and encouraged. Next, we have our center-based programs. Now, center-based programs are programs that are housed in our Cornerstone or New York City NYCHE housing facility, our NYCHE facilities. So we currently have two center-based programs. One is Kingsborough, and the other one is Glenwood. The DYCD Cornerstone program is a crucial after-school initiative housed in NYCHE facilities, serving children and youth who often face systemic barriers to academic success, enrichment opportunities, and social emotional development. Many families in public housing experience economic challenges, limited access to safe recreational spaces, and high demand on parent time, making consistent out-of-school program essential for youth growth and development. Cornerstone programs address these needs by providing safe, structured environments where participants can thrive. Our Cornerstone programs operate from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, Monday through Saturday. And then in summertime, we operate from 10 to 11, Monday through. So all 7 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're kind of there in the community. The program offers a wide variety of services, including homework support, STEM, literacy enrichment, arts and culture activities, recreational program, and leadership development. There's an emphasis on social emotional learning that ensures that youth develop resilience, confidence, and positive interpersonal skills while fostering healthy relationships with peers and coaching. Despite despite the strengths of the program, the Cornerstone program faces many challenges associated with NYCHE-based school sites, including limited physical space, a variable of resources, and the unique need of a high needs community. Through dedicated staff, community partnerships, and a focus on equity and access, Cornerstones ensure that youth in NYCHE communities receive consistent, high-quality after-school program that promotes academic growth, life skill development, and long-term success. Next, we have our leadership program. Our leadership program are also programs that are in our NYCHE facility, which is focused on our middle and high school and young adult population. So the leadership program is a grant that we received through the Office of Children and Family Services, as well as some discretionary funds. The leadership development program empowers middle and high school youth to grow as confident, community-minded leaders through a structured series of workshops, hands-on projects, mentoring, and real-world experiences. Participants strengthen essential skills that prepare them for success in school, careers, and life. Key program components include leadership workshops. They're interactive sessions on communication, teamwork, conflict resolution, public speaking, decision making, goal setting, and personal development. Students explore their core values, identify strengths, and create short and long term leadership goals. Service and community engagement. All of our youth participate in service projects, civic learning experiences, and partnerships with local organizations to build responsibility and social awareness. Career and college exposure. Through guest speakers, professional panels, and site visits, participants gain an insight into future pathways and develop a vision for their next step. Many of our participants are creating for the first time their resumes and cover letters and goal setting. Youth voice and advocacy. Students learn how they can use their voice to influence change, advocate for important issues to them, and lead initiative within their community. Last but not least, a big part of our youth programming is our family engagement. It's important that families feel a part of our programs through workshops, through resource navigating and case management, family events, and celebrations. So family engagement program serves the entire family. It recognized that children thrive when caregivers are supported and empowered. By connecting families to resources, skill building opportunities, and community networks, the program strengthens relationships at home, fosters stability, and improves student outcome. Some of our key components for our family engagement are workshops and trainings. Families participate in sessions on communication, academic supports, mental health awareness, digital literacy, and child development. Over 90% of participating families report increase in confidence in supporting their children's learning. Next, we have family events and celebration. Monthly events foster connection and community engagement. Attendance averages 75 to 100 families per event, with 95% reporting improved family cohesion. Parent leadership opportunities. Caregivers engage in advisory roles, volunteer initiatives, and program planning, with 80% of our participants reporting stronger sense of empowerment and a voice in their community. One-on-one support. Personalized check-in, goal setting sessions help family overcome barriers. Family participate in one-on-one support demonstrations, such as our housing workshops, know your rights workshops, the various housing and tenant advocacies that happens here at FDC. Family engagement at FDC, we recognize that strong family involvement is key to student success. A little bit of our impact for the year 2024 for FY24. 12.4% of our participants were from age 0 to 5, 81% were from 6 to 13 years old, 14 to 16 was 2.1, and 16 and up was 4.3. We serve a myriad of genders as well as ethnicities, and our reach goes from Flatbush, East Flatbush, Crown Heights, Prospect Lefford Gardens, Kensington, Flatlands, Brownsville, Midwood, Prospect Park, and Bedford Stuyvesant. Thank you for your time. We're hoping that our reach can be a little bit larger, and I'll be here if you have any questions, comments, and concerns. Thank you so much, Community Board 14, for this time and space.
Thank you so much, James, for sharing. You guys want to reach farther. That's not enough neighborhoods. Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna open up for questions or comments from the board.
Carissa, is that a hand?
I feel like I'm in school. Hey, James, thank you so much for that presentation. I have a question. If someone wanted to become like an educator of one of the programs, how would one go about doing so?
Many of our job postings you can find on our website. You can also kind of email anyone from FDC, or you can email information at fdc.org. FDC at fdconline.org for any kind of job posting or opportunities. But we're consistently looking for group leaders, activity specialists, program directors, assistant directors. There's always an opportunity for anyone to be a part. Volunteers, we're always looking for, and things like that.
Great, thank you. And
No problem.
addition, do you have any specifics on what's taught in the entrepreneurship? Sorry, I forgot what you called them. My bad.
Rising Stars.
Yes.
So Rising Stars, it's an elementary model. It's kind of modeled after kind of like Let's Make a Deal. So kind of looking at any idea, any type of concept, and how we bring that to life, giving our elementary students, because they're so young, knowledge on money, how it works. So a lot of it is kind of game-based led through like Monopoly, things like that. Some of their ideas when it comes down to Switch and TikTok and things like that, like how do people start businesses and things like that. So it's navigated through that. No problem. Thank you so much.
James, how many people work? I mean, I feel like Chris's question made me wonder how many people work for FTC with the. I mean, you have so many programs.
So currently we are at 98 staff.
Wow.
Close to maybe 100 staff, line staff, and that's including our program directors, assistant directors, our dedicated educational specialists that work with curriculum and professional development, our line staff, which are group leaders. So about 98 staff, and growing. So we're always looking. We have a couple of vacancies, so it probably is a little bit more than that.
And you mentioned that you're always looking for volunteers as well. What kind of things do you guys need volunteers for?
So anyone who's interested in working with young people, we're looking for volunteers, kind of like in our school-based programs. Anyone who can volunteer, like helping with community events. We always have monthly parent engagement events, so we're looking for that. We're looking for servers when we're having dinners. We're looking for volunteers who can kind of help in the classrooms and support our group leaders and activity specialists. Anything that you can kind of like find your hands to do within our after school programs or our cornerstones, we're always looking for.
Did you say parent monthly engagement events? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so each one of our sites have something every month for our families. If it's either a workshop, if it's even coming to learn about curriculum night at the school, anything that we can pair with our parent teacher association or our PAs, we kind of do.
I can attest to that. FTC is always participating at 217 events. Anything we're doing, they will come out.
Yeah, I think we supported the Dads Bring Your Child to School Day back in September. I think one of our councilwomen did an environmental day at PS 152 that we supported. So each month we're trying to, just engage families and parents to just get a little bit more involved in student education and things like that.
That was a real hit. The parents dads bring your kids to school morning. The 217 like track area was covered with dads. They had like a little photo shoot, set up, where dads could take pictures and with their kids coming. It was really nice. The vibes were immaculate, I would say. So I really appreciate that. So thank you guys for those events and your engagement. It's great.
Um,
Um,
just I see Sean, I think your hand is up. Just a follow up on what Eric asked, and then Sean, you could jump in. I see on FDC site the like clear like job descriptions and openings, but for the volunteer, it's like a contact us. Is there any way that volunteers will be able to like see a list of like, I guess, volunteer options or opportunities prior to reaching out to you guys?
Definitely, we can speak to our office manager to kind of put up volunteer opportunities so that when they click that, maybe there's like a drop down menu or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for that.
James.
Yeah, no
And then
problem.
Sean, I know you had your hand up.
Thanks. Yeah, James, I wanted to ask you some questions about contracting. You mentioned a couple. You're with a couple agencies. I imagine most of your contracts are DYCD, Department of Youth and Community Development. Are there other agencies? Are they? I'm going to throw a few at you, and you can get them all at once. Are there other agencies? Are they all reimbursement contracts? And how are those agencies doing on paying you on time or even close to on time? Like, are you experiencing a lag? And then I'm going to say one other thing and let you answer. One of the things that our board members have been discussing is outreach to where community boards can have youth community board members on it, starting at the age of 16. So maybe let's think about ways to weave in your outreach with CB14's need and the opportunity that presents in order to maybe recruit some youth members for this currently open application period. Thanks for listening to all of that. I'm muting again.
So I to your question about reimbursement, yes, majority of our contracts, if not all, maybe close to 90% of our contracts are city contracts through DYCD. Our LEAP programs are state contracts through the Office of Children and Family Services, which they all are reimbursement models. They all are reimbursement models. Our friends at DYCD, we love them. There have been some delays. There have been some delays in payment. OCFS have been, I think, a little bit better But yes, there have been some delays, and I think they're kind of working through that now.
Okay, and so I'm sorry to have a follow-up. I'm just going to jump in with it though. Let's talk about whether or not you've used the Mayor's Office of Nonprofit Services for any of that, and if not, it's something that they presented at our most recent
Yes.
nonprofit roundtable. So let's hold them accountable for delivering the great work that they are doing to our district.
So I do. So to your point, I think in that meeting, our executive director, Robin Redman, did have a conversation with the young man, I think, who came and kind of presented, and we were able to get some advances and things like that, or in payment. But I think overall, to your point, yes, I think we have to hold feet to fire in that sense. I am in agreement.
James, the second, Sean had mentioned that there's openings on the board and for younger people. And I mean, I see, you guys have the leadership program, the community centers. Yeah, I don't know. If you had ideas sort
Yeah,
of
I did. I guess so. For example, like what then would that look like? Is there like a not a job description, but what are the roles, responsibilities that can kind of be presented to our middle and high schoolers?
I'll drop the borough president's link in the chat, and then you know where to find me if you want to tease anything out.
No, but I think that opportunity is something that um we can uh we can explore, because we're always looking for ways in which our middle school and high schoolers can kind of give back and serve on committees. Many of the middle schoolers and high schoolers serve on the youth advisory council of the NYCHA facility, because it's kind of like a part of the Cornerstone model. So any additional committees that they can work on would only benefit and help.
Yeah, it was certainly a civic learning project, doing joining one of the community boards in their neighborhood. The age to join the community boards, the lowest age is 16. And I don't know when the last time we had such a young person on the board. Certainly bringing their voices into the community board in an official way. They are entitled, they are eligible, and so it's something to put on their radar once you check it out.
Definitely. Thank you for that.
They could be co-hosting this. No reason they shouldn't be. Are there other questions for James? And Ornella, if you could, I can't really see if anyone's got hands up on my system here.
No more on this end. I don't see any hands up, Eric.
All right. James, thank you so much for coming and sharing and for all the work you're doing. Very impressive. I really appreciate your presentation, you being here, and look forward to connecting with you at 217 or somewhere else in the very near future. And sure, welcome to hang on, stay on for the
Yeah, I'll
following
be on.
presentation. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna pass it to you, Co-Chair Parker.
All right, everyone, we're moving on to agenda item 2, which will be a presentation from Canva. If you don't know what Canva is, they are a nonprofit agency that provides services to connect people with opportunities, specifically to enhance the quality of life. Tonight, they're going to be speaking, specifically Monroe will be presenting, correct, right, Monroe? Yep, hey, Monroe. Will be presenting on their LEAP program, which is focused on fostering family acceptance for LGBTQ plus youth. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Monroe, so that you can present.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let me get this screen sharing going and hope it works. All right.
Yes, we can see it, Monroe. Look good on my end.
Wonderful. Great. So yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Monterey Butchingham. I use they, he pronouns, and I am the health educator for Project LEAP, which is the LGBTQ plus education and acceptance project. And like you mentioned, we are focused on promoting family acceptance of LGBTQ plus youth in order to positively influence their health outcomes and their well-being in the future. So we are an initiative that has been, we are kind of a spinoff of what used to be called Project Ally, which ran for about 7 to 8 years through Canva and unfortunately lost funding. But about 3 years ago, we received funding again. And so we're about 3 years into this new project, and we have expanded beyond Brooklyn to now also include Queens in our target communities. We offer several things. Our direct services are educational workshops, parent and caregiver groups. We also do one-on-one counseling and conflict mediation for families of LGBTQ plus youth. We have social marketing campaigns, stories of role models, and then filmmaking workshops for LGBTQ plus youth, all of which I will expand upon as we go through this presentation. And all of our services are free and bilingual in both English and Spanish. So, so our goal kind of as LEAP, especially when we're doing our workshops, we focus on increasing the knowledge and awareness of how family and community rejection negatively impacts LGBTQ plus youth. We also often do language reviews. So we will do cultural competency, or LGBTQ plus 101 for any organization that wants us to come out, and we'll share language that can be used to discuss gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, and pronouns. And then also in every presentation, we review and promote accepting and affirming behaviors that have a positive effect on LGBTQ plus youth and improves their overall well-being. So as we're all here, I'm sure we know what LGBTQ plus stands for, but really quickly, I'm just gonna go through it. So LGBTQ plus stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, and plus. And the plus is all our other wonderful identities that fall underneath the LGBTQ plus umbrella. So why do we do what we do? Why is LEAP around? Well, a lot of research has come out that has shown that LGBTQ plus populations of all ages disproportionately experience more cases of depression, anxiety, substance use, suicidal ideation and attempts, and poorer overall well-being outcomes when compared to their heterosexual and cisgender peers. When compared to peers, their queer peers who have family acceptance, those who experience family rejection experience an increased risk of suicide attempts by 8 times, substance misuse by 3 times, depression by 6 times, and HIV infections by 3 times. Really importantly, I want to make sure that I mention that it's not that LGBTQ plus folks are inherently prone to experiencing things like depression or isolation because they are LGBTQ plus, but it is rather due to the way that they are mistreated and stigmatized in society, which leads to them being at a greater risk of experiencing these negative health outcomes. So if you guys want to put it in the chat or just think about it, I just want you to reflect a little bit about the first time you remember hearing the words gay or trans or LGBTQ plus and what context it was in. Oftentimes, a lot of people's first exposure to terms that relate to the queer community come in negative situations. So whether it's using gay as an insult or if it's, disparaging someone who might act a certain way that goes against, what is expected. And so what we are trying to do is combat these stigmas that exist in people's minds, especially within parents' minds, when their children do come out, so that the child is able to remain in the home and get the support that they really need from their family. So getting a little bit more into the impact of the family, I want to focus on this graphic, which kind of restates what I mentioned in the slide about the increased risk, but this comparison between moderate levels and high levels of rejection is really important to visualize. So when an individual experiences moderate levels of family rejection, they do obviously have negative health outcomes. So they're 3 times more likely to be depressed. They're 2 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts and suicide attempts, and they're 1.5 times more likely to use drugs illegally. However, the jump from moderate levels of rejection to high levels of rejection doubles almost every single statistic. It actually quadruples the rate of suicide attempts amongst LGBTQ plus youth. So they experience 6 times the level, 6 times the risk of depression, 5.5 times the risk of suicidal thoughts, 8 times the risk of suicide attempts, 3 times more likely to use drugs illegally or use illegal substances, and they're also 3 times more likely to contract HIV or STDs. I really want to focus on the suicide attempts by highly rejected LGBTQ plus young people, because this is where we are starting to see our youth die from the rejection that they're facing, not just from society, but from their own family as well. So an individual who experiences moderate rejection is about 2 times more likely than an individual who experiences low levels of rejection within their family to attempt suicide throughout their lifetime. However, an individual who experiences high level of rejection from their family is 8.5 times more likely than an individual who experienced low levels of rejection to attempt suicide throughout their entire lifetime. And these are kids and young people who are unable to really imagine a happy future, especially when they've realized they've lost that base that they've always had growing up, the support that they thought that was kind of unconditional from their family. Once they lose that, they start to lose their ability to even imagine growing up and being their own adult and living a full life. So I just really want to quickly go through some of these rejecting behaviors that we might see in parents, just so that either, if you see it, you can put a stop to it, or, just letting people know what shouldn't be done or what to avoid when, engaging with a queer youth. So a big one is seeing parents refuse to use someone's chosen name or pronouns. There's often a lot of verbal harassment or name calling, which goes into the next one, a lot of anti-LGBTQ plus jokes or belittling statements. So using gay as an insult, as an example. Something that also happens, which sometimes comes from a place of trying to protect. And most of these behaviors come from a place of a parent trying to protect their child from kind of the stigma that they might experience in society. But what they don't realize is that they are actually telling their child that they are wrong for feeling this. And it kind of ruminates in the child's mind. They really remember the things that their parents kind of do and say about their identity, especially when they've come out and they've taken all the courage to tell their family how they identify, who they love, and they're experiencing this backlash. So they oftentimes will get blamed when they're bullied or discriminated against or have a negative experience because of their LGBTQ plus identity. Additionally, telling them that they look better when they're more or less masculine or feminine, when they are trying to present in a way that feels more comfortable with their gender identity. Another one that mostly comes from protective idea mindset is not allowing someone to speak openly about their gender identity or sexual orientation. So maybe the family doesn't outright reject them, but when it comes to speaking about who they are in the household or speaking about who they are around other family members, they're often told, hey, don't speak about that, or they're not allowed to speak about it, which then also reinforces this idea in their mind that they are wrong for feeling what they feel and that their family also feels like they are wrong for this. And another behavior is excluding someone from group activities. So maybe you're going out for dinner or a family's going out for dinner and they tell their daughter that she can't come with them if she's going to dress XYZ way. Sometimes it's out of a place of embarrassment. Sometimes it's out of a place of protection, but oftentimes parents aren't engaging in these behaviors in order to purposefully hurt the child, but it's something that the stigma encourages them to reinforce these negative behaviors towards queer people. And family really matters. Acceptance really does start in the home. Research has shown that when LGBTQ plus youth are accepted by their families, they have higher self-esteem and overall health and are better protected against depression, suicidal behavior, and substance abuse. This is just a good graphic to really show it. So individuals who queer people who experience higher levels of acceptance in their family are less likely to be depressed. They're 3 times less likely to think about suicide and 3 times less likely to even attempt suicide. They're much less likely to have a substance abuse problem. They have higher self-esteem. They have more social support. And very importantly, they have better family relationships. And when you have this family support, when you have better relationships, when you're able to recognize that you have this home base to return to, you are able to imagine yourself living a happy life as an adult. So individuals who had extremely accepting levels of family acceptance, 92% of those queer youths were able to imagine that they would be a happy LGBTQ plus adult. On the contrary, individuals who had very high levels of family rejection, only 35% of those queer youths were able to imagine themselves being a happy LGBTQ plus adult, which is where you can see why a lot of these queer youths start to attempt suicide. They're unable to even imagine a future where they can be happy because they have lost their family support. They've lost their home base and they're now out there alone. Even if they have, friends and support, it's really harmful to a child to experience that type of rejection. And so it's really important that we try to help improve the lives of LGBTQ plus youth so they're able to stay in the home and they're able to get the family support that they need. And that is why we specifically target parents who are going through an acceptance journey to help them reach the level of acceptance that's needed for them to care for their queer youth. Because the problem is not the youth. The problem is not how the youth identifies. The problem is with how the parent reacts to that youth identification. And so we're trying to work through providing information and kind of support to parents so that they're able to support their queer children in a way that will help them blossom into a happy queer adult. So we do educational workshops, like I mentioned, and we provide information on how to create supportive and safe home environments for queer youth. We help people understand sexuality, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, and the difference between all of those. We encourage healthy and respectful communication, and we also provide resources to help parents, caregivers, and families improve their relationships with their LGBTQ plus youth. We also run a series of parent and caregiver workshops. So currently we have our Spanish series going on. That will be ending in a couple of weeks, but it's every week on Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. Online. And we give information. We create a space so that parents are able to not only share strategies and gain knowledge from the information that we give, but also so that they can have kind of a community so that they can see that they're not going through this alone. It is a safe space for them to ask questions and learn more without their child hearing these negative thoughts and these negative opinions that they might have. So it's somewhere they can really come and be curious and kind of be uneducated so that we are able to give them the information that they need to go on to support their child. We also do counseling and conflict mediation. So we do one-on-one counseling for parents who have a child who has come out as queer to help them work through their feelings, really listen to what they're saying and give them space. Maybe if they feel more comfortable in these one-on-one situations, it really gives them space to talk to someone who's very well versed on the topic, very well versed with the situation that they're going through, so that they're able to get more help and guidance. We also do conflict mediation for families where the queer youth is still living in the household. So we have parents and their child come in, and we are there to help guide conversation and kind of be the mediators so that things don't get out of hand or get inflammatory. But we do not provide one-on-one counseling for youth. We only do it for the parents because our target is making sure that parents are accepting their children, because the children are not the issue here. We also do a social marketing campaign. So I don't know if you saw any of these posters on some of the bus shelters across Brooklyn and Queens last year or earlier this year, but we do these social marketing campaigns to really get the word out that, if you're going through this, if you're learning to accept your queer child, you're not going through this alone, and that it is a journey, it's a process, and we just give some more information on how you can contact us in order to get more support, in order for the parents to get more support so that they aren't going through this alone. We also do role model stories where every year we develop 2 role model stories based on people in the community who have gone through these processes and these journeys of acceptance, and we share them to our grander community because it's really important that they see that it's not something that's happening outside of their bubble. It's not something that's disconnected from them. These are people that neighbors, coworkers. These are people who are going through the same journey as you, who have gotten to a place where they're able to have that positive relationship with their queer child and be more accepting. And so it's just to really inspire people to take that next step towards acceptance. Our only direct service that we do for youth is our filmmaking program. So every single year, we have a filmmaking program for youth where it's an 8-week program every Saturday, and they are fed and they are given Target gift cards and Metro cards to kind of reimburse for their time, while they're also able to learn from a film teacher how to make a short film. This year, we are wrapping up this Saturday, but we have been filming like crazy and putting together this short film based on our role model story. And it's been really nice to see these students blossom and work the camera and work the boom mic and really get that experience on how they can share their own voice, and get that hands-on experience so that they're able to, in the future, when they do want to speak about their experience, when they want to share the voice of the queer people, they have the tools to do so already. So moving on towards acceptance and what we can do to be better allies and to better support queer children. Anyone has the ability to be an ally, and this is just demonstrated through our actions. And the Trevor Project conducted research that showed that LGBTQ plus youth who reported having even at least one accepting adult in their life, so a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a neighbor, a friend of a parent, family friend, anyone who just told them that they accept them, that would sit down and talk to them, would affirm their identity, would address them as they wish to be addressed, they were 40% less likely to attempt suicide in the past year just by having one person in their life who is there in supporting them. And so our program isn't just about targeting parents, it's about targeting a community so that when the parents are struggling, when the parents do fall through, there's a community there that can step up and wrap their arms around the child and really protect them from these negative health outcomes, so that we are able to see happy queer adults growing up and living their lives to the fullest. So just to give some behaviors that can help a queer youth feel more accepted. Really listen and talk respectfully when they do talk about their identity. So, be an active listener, address them by the pronouns that they want to use, address them by the name that they've chosen, really be there and try to understand their identity. Additionally, showing a support for LGBTQ plus folks even when you feel uncomfortable, so you don't have to wait for a queer person to be in the room, or you don't have to wait to see a queer person watching you. If you're in a room with someone and they say a homophobic joke, stand up and say, hey, that's not funny, we don't joke about that. It's good practice as an ally to really be the person to confront others who are, saying these things, saying these horrible things, so that people in the community don't always have to be at the front lines of defense. Like I mentioned, using someone's chosen name and simply apologizing if you get it wrong. You don't have to wallow over it. You don't have to, really beat yourself up over it. Just apologize and recorrect. And that really shows that you're putting in some effort while also trying to normalize the process. Advocate for them when they are mistreated due to their LGBTQ plus identity. Very, very important. Tell your child you love them unconditionally and really mean it. Even if you don't have a queer child, even if you have a child that you don't know if they're queer or not, just telling your child or a child that's close to you that you love them unconditionally can really, really help them feel more solid in who they are and how they feel. Show support for diverse gender expressions, and go out there and talk with church leaders or and church members or community leaders about supporting and welcoming LGBTQ plus people in services or in events, or making sure that events are LGBTQ plus friendly spaces and are comfortable spaces where people are able to openly be themselves without fear of retribution or being made fun of. So by fostering acceptance of LGBTQ plus people, we are literally saving the lives of our young people so that we're able to grow up and see them live these happy and bright futures that they deserve to be able to live. Yeah, so this is our contact information. Gloria Soto is the program manager for the program. She was unable to be here tonight, but there's her contact information, and then there's my contact information. Feel free to email, text, call if you have any questions or you just want more information, or you're trying to send someone our way. We would love it. Or if you have anywhere you would love us to come out and do a presentation, we are more than willing to do it. We can also do after hours as we're doing now. Just wherever you want us to be, we're willing to go. And then our office location is at 1259 Flatbush Avenue, and we are housed within the HIV prevention department at CAMBA. So you can find all of us there at 1259 Flatbush Avenue.
Thank you so much, Monroe. That was extremely informative. Um, I am going to open up the floor for questions. So if anyone have any questions, just click the little hand at the bottom of your screen on WebEx. While you guys are doing that, if you don't mind, I have two quick questions for you. The first is, you mentioned that you guys are in Brooklyn and Queens, and that you have targeted communities. What communities are specifically the target communities?
So our target community is the BIPOC community throughout Brooklyn and Queens. We've noticed that a lot of services are centered in Manhattan and have a very heavy focus on whiter populations. And so we're trying to fill that gap so that there's a space where Black and Brown parents feel more comfortable coming with their questions and seeing people who look like them that can answer those questions for them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So it's not specific to any neighborhoods. It's just the communities that identify for the, okay.
Yeah.
And then one more question.
Mhm.
How does it work with connecting families? Is it that families reach out to you, to the organization, or is it that like our schools like suggesting families when they like thinking about like guidance counselors typically are the first ones to like when kids are sharing or like a teacher or different things like that, do they like share the information of your organization with families and then they reach out? Like how do families get connected with you guys?
Yeah, so it is entirely a voluntary program. So we don't have any direct referral sources, but we give our information out so that people are able to send people our way. But it's a voluntary basis because the process or the journey to acceptance really needs to be
Yeah.
an active journey.
Yeah. Thank you, Monroe.
Mhm.
I'm looking to see if there's any hands. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I see two hands. I have Nikki followed by Eric.
Hello, my name is Nikki. Thank you for the great presentation. Very useful for as reminders for us as individuals and community members, but also great advice. Um, I'm just thinking about, I'm thinking about my own personal experience. I have some members of my family that are extremely religious and conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just am interested. I also am thinking about the CB14 is a community where we have like quite a number of very, very, I'm using the word not in the political sense, right, but conservative or
Mm-hmm.
traditional communities. And what is your approach to making inroads there, right, where there might be even higher barriers than normal to parental acceptance? And that in a little way links up to what Ornella asked, right? Like, how do people get to you? And I completely take your point that the road to acceptance, like, you can't drag someone to that first meeting unless they have an interest, right, in like trying to
Yeah.
do that. But I'm just super interested, especially given the nature of our community district composition.
Mm-hmm.
What is your approach with trying to reach out to some of those communities, what be it through institutions, through organizations? It's super interesting.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we've done a few workshops in churches and in some synagogues, and we're trying to get more connection with religious communities so that there is kind of a resource that can be shared amongst them. Like you mentioned, it's a little bit more difficult because it's harder to get someone who is coming from a more conservative background to voluntarily go to a service. And so while we're not able to really go straight into the community and really force people into the program, we hope that our presence and just the information that they get about the impact of family rejection and how it could negatively impact their child's life forever if they do face this level of rejection. We hope that that information is sort of a push to at least some level of acceptance, even if it's going from high rejection to moderate rejection, just so that we can see a decrease in these negative health outcomes that we're seeing in our queer youths.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think after Nikki, it was Eric. Did you still have a question, Eric?
Yes, thank you. Monroe, thank you for your presentation. I was curious about your program for the young filmmakers. Is that something that the kids apply to, or is that at sites that you guys are already working in? Just curious if you could give us some information about that.
Yeah, so we have an application process, and it's not like a super gate kept program. Realistically, if you apply and you are within the age limit, you are accepted into the program. And so we try and get the word out to people so that they can inspire people to apply. And hopefully, by having a product at the end of this, it's our second year doing the filmmaking program. So hopefully, by having a short film by the end of this, we're able to kind of broadcast that and inspire more young people to really apply and get the eyes on the program. But yeah, it's open to anyone who lives or studies in Brooklyn or Queens. So even if if you don't live in Brooklyn or Queens, but you go to school there, you're welcome into the program. And it's open to youth ages 15 to 20.
That's great. That's very good eligibility requirements.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
I just want to give one more opportunity for anyone who have questions. I don't see any hands, but I'm good at wait time, so I'll give it like a couple seconds. All right. It doesn't look like any hands are being raised, so I want to thank you so much, Monroe, for your presentation. It was so informative. Lot of notes. So I know, and it is really important. The data was very telling of why this is necessary. So I appreciate you being with us tonight. And we'll
Mhm.
screenshot your information. I will definitely share it along as I see fit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. You are welcome to stay on with us. We're going to move on to the next agenda item, but if you have to go, we also don't no hard feelings.
Don't worry, I want to stay. I want to hear what's going on.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item. The last planned item for tonight is some pre-planning for the youth conference. Our 19th annual youth conference is coming up in 2026. So just give me 1 second, y'all. I'm going to share my screen. Let's hope this works. Share. All right. Boom. Is everyone seeing a bright yellow and red screen that looks like McDonald's sponsor this? Okay, great. They did not sponsor this. I am not happy with myself for choosing these colors, but we're gonna jump into it. So just for everyone on the call, this is very much more a collaborative, interactive portion of the meeting. So if you have your screen off, I'm trusting that you're with us and you're going to engage, because what you give in is going to help to shape the success of our upcoming youth conference. Okay.
Maybe, Ornella, we should give a little overview of what the youth conference is for anybody who's new or doesn't know.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. What is the youth conference? So
Oh.
moving on. That's part of it. So moving on, just one quick tidbit though that it is true is that the youth conference is held in celebration of our late board member Dwayne Joseph, who was dedicated to this event and ensuring just community engagement for our youth overall. So that part will always remain true as we move forward. But to your point, Eric, we are trying to get really clear on what is the purpose of the youth conference. So I got to spend a lot of time with Sean and the office, getting clarity around the purpose. And overall, the purpose is connecting our youth to opportunities. And opportunities can be defined a few different ways, right? Job and career development and pathways, skill development, and support overall. So support could look like mental health support, different things like that, whatever resources we have in our community. But what I want us to think about as we move forward is like, what do we want to achieve, and does it meet the needs of our community? So, and when you say community here, obviously our youth and their families. Before we jump into that, we did spend some time after the last youth conference, getting some lessons learned from the past, and feedback was given from those that participated, who were a part of the planning process, and it fell into 4 different categories. The first category was planning and coordination, outreach and partnership, marketing and branding, and last but not least, the event experience. um, so we're going to spend some time taking a look at the feedback that was provided, making sure we keep that in mind as we move forward in planning. So for planning, can I have somebody unmute and read the 3 bullets under planning? You don't have to raise your hand. Anybody who feels inclined to. What
Okay.
were the lessons you learned? Is
Oh,
that you, Nina?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Pardon my not showing my face, but I think I look as awful as I feel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Planning. Start earlier. Yes, it's November. Create a clear timeline and run of show. Make planning meetings actionable with assigned tasks. Engage full board. Divide flyer distribution and outline areas.
Thank you, Nina. So I'm happy you highlighted, yes, we are starting earlier, which is why we're meeting in November versus our typical first meeting is normally in January. We will meet again in January. And when we meet in January, the meeting will be aligned to like specific action items, so that everybody's clear on their roles and responsibilities leading up to the youth conference. For the section under outreach, can I have someone else unmute and read the bullets under outreach? Don't all volunteer at the same time now.
This is
Okay,
Nikki.
keep school contact
Oh,
lists
okay.
updated and accurate. Use Borough President's Office for district distribution. Partner with Brooklyn College and high schools, extra credit incentives. Chairperson and board to lead organization,
Yep.
org, and community outreach.
Thank you, Carissa. Yeah, so we want to make sure we get our outreach aligned. Eric, I know you were passionate about this piece around getting the accurate contact list. Do you want to speak really quickly about the experience from last year on that?
Yes. Ornella and I spoke a little bit earlier today, but we talked about this last year as we did outreach to a lot of the contacts that we have at the schools. They just need updating The contact people change even year to year, whether it's a parent coordinator or a principal who's moved on, or maybe there's a teacher who's been on our lists. And so all these lists require just regular maintenance. So I think the board itself, and I think we have to take some responsibility.
Yep.
We are just a little bit late to following up. Our initial messages went out and our packages went out to the schools, but upon follow up, we realized that there were a number of them where there were missed connections. And so definitely I'm committed to reaching out to all of our schools in the district in December, just starting to figure out who the right contact person is to share the information about the youth conference so that, the right people have it and can share it. So we can do some higher level outreach at each of those schools to see who the right person is. And we also had conversation at the youth conference last year with one of the people in the mayor's office who is tasked with working with community boards, but also is in touch with the schools. That's part of their portfolio as well. And they were interested in reaching out even beyond our district, but to connect to principals in the when we have all materials together, interested in dialoguing about possible incentives, but certainly the borough president's office said they would help reach out to the principals themselves about the youth conference. So I feel like we have some lessons learned, and I think starting in December to start picking at that list to see who the right person is that's I'm happy to lead that charge.
Yeah. And I think an idea that came out of a conversation I had with the office is around um not just focusing on reaching out to one person, but maybe for each school, identifying three point of contacts to send our communication to. So maybe like a leader, so the principal, maybe the parent coordinator and the guidance counselor. So we're tackling like all the different angles. Hold on, y'all. Okay, there we go. All right, and then the last two buckets was marketing and event experience. Can I have someone else unmute and read the lessons learned under marketing
Good night, everyone.
or feedback? Hi, Florencia.
Hi, I finally can unmute. It wouldn't allow me on my laptop for the last two sessions. But anyway, uh redesign flyer, ads, photos, youth-friendly design, clarify event, name, branding, conference versus resource fair, include organization list on back of flyer, track distribution, and update video.
Yep. And then just thank you, Florencia, and just an update on the video. There was recording done last year at the last youth conference. Um, the person who did that is working on creating a video of the footage so that we have that going into this cycle's outreach and marketing. And then last but not least, event experience. Who would like to unmute and read the three bullets under event experience?
I'll do it because I'm actually excited about the first one because I had that from
I
last
think
year.
this was your suggestion.
Oh, really? Is
Yeah.
it? Beautiful. Event experience. Add music/DJ to boost energy and vibe. And I actually have the perfect DJ. Maintain strong mix of orgs and giveaways. Balance workshops and tabling for impact.
Yep. And then all of these things will be determined based on once we identify need of our youths. So moving on to the next slide. I was wondering, and I wanted to bring this conversation to you all. I would like to source from youth and related parties. And when I say related parties, like schools, their families, people that are directly involved with youth in our community to identify their specific needs to ensure that the youth conference is tailored to meet those and will attract the audience we're aiming to serve. So I wanted to open up space for us to have a conversation around how do we want to go about sourcing information for what our youth need in our district.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I know a few of us work in schools that are within the target audience. So I'd say to really like actually poll the actual children or ask them like, if you were to go to a resource fair, if you were to go to a youth conference, what is something that you would like to see? Or what is something that you're struggling right now as a teenager that you can get advice or support or help from um, at an event like this?
Thank you, Carissa. I'm just writing these down. I think Sasha had her hand up.
Yes, hi.
Hey, Sasha.
I had a suggestion that maybe I'm not sure how realistic it is, but if there is a survey, right? I'm the way I'm envisioning something like this is something digital, right? So that the kids can fill out quickly, like a Google form or something like that. They can fill it out on their phone, no pressure. And in terms of like what to ask kids, well, first of all, I would have a survey potentially for kids, for parents, and for some school staff or something. So, like, because you want to get a perspective from potentially the children, right? The young teens and young adults, right? Who can still come to the conference. And then you want to kind of hear maybe from their their superiors, like their grown-ups and their, educators and things like that. And then I would also just ask like what kind of jobs kids are interested in. Like, of course, we will like try to our best to have variety of, and we always do. But just to be curious, like what are kids interested in? Like what, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
like off the top.
No, those were good feedback.
Hmm.
I have Florencia and then Nikki.
Yeah, hi again. I was going to say a similar thing, that to get the parent coordinators, guidance counselors, and even the church groups or the youth groups, the organization leaders, those who are mentors, to have a talk with the youth and ask them. I'll tell you something, Pastor Thornton, his church once planned a boat ride for the youth and thought it was a great thing. And it wasn't for them so much because no, he said this and he said, nobody asked them what they really wanted to do. And they said it wasn't that they didn't think it was a great idea, but at the time, that wasn't what they wanted to do during that time of year. So I think really having, the persons who are in charge of youth groups that deal with them, as Sasha and sorry, my board member was saying before, to have them have that conversation and really ask them what would they like, to see when they attend, and how would they envision it, and just have a whole conversation about that, and then give that feedback so that, you know, we you guys can we can all make the final decisions.
Yeah, spot on. Nikki, I think you were next.
Thank you, Ornella and Eric, and thank you to everyone who already made comments. So I had a few suggestions. Ornella's gonna laugh at the first one because it's something that her and I worked on together. And I truly believe in the value of asking people and experts and professionals. However, this is one where ChatGPT could be super useful, right? Like there may be studies that have been done on our very community that we're not even aware of, where we could I use like ChatGPT and Gemini a lot, like for doing market research. It can be super useful. So just doing some stuff there didn't exist, probably even at the level it does right now, just the last time that we did this conference. So if we're looking for actual data or studies or research, it can be broader. It can be about New York State, New York City, Brooklyn. There may actually be quite a lot of research that's already been produced that could inform some of the answers to the questions we're asking. The second thing is in terms of posters, I am, as much as I'm a fan of asking the robots questions, I'm also a fan of paper signage, so I'm so happy to see this recommitment to like paper flyers because I feel like that's so key. Like that's really the only thing people pay attention to. There's so much stuff on social media. Unless you have a lot of money, putting stuff on Instagram is, you know, like, although that is something that we could discuss, right? Like maybe there are things that we spend money on right now for this event where putting a little bit of money behind an incredibly targeted social media campaign might be a good way to get the word out. But with posters, we could have 2 rounds of postering, and one could be, you know, a QR code where just people on the street or in a bodega or in a restaurant or in a school could just give you super quick feedback. And even the event posters advertising it, of course, we would like to receive this feedback early enough that it could actually inform, you know, the organizations that we invite, but giving people a call to action when you have a communication never hurts. So like even on the posters that we post up until the day before the event happens, there should be a QR code. Be like, what kind of organizations do you want to see? What kind of resources do you want? And then the third thing is, I spend a lot of time in my life emailing people to get involved with events who never email me back. Um, Sometimes, if you like for all of the schools, Eric, to your point about like how do we really do good outreach to schools, Ornella, Eric, many of you on this call, I know you're actual educators who work in schools, but it might actually be really interesting or maybe get someone to open an email that they might not ordinarily open instead of just saying, hey, come to this fair, being like, hey, we're hosting a focus group, um, you know, very quick, like a half an hour focus group where we'd like to hear your expertise on young people and what they need. Um, that could, you know, even Sean, please don't kill me. I'm like, Sean's not gonna like this idea, but maybe she will. Like, invite them to the office, right? Give them like a cookie and a coffee, maybe. And it might be a great way to incentivize building a good, high quality list of people that work with youth that we are not currently aware of or not already on our list. So I think asking people this question is actually a really good way to build what in marketing you would call like a high quality lead for someone who would actually show up at the event. I hope that helps.
No, those were some really good ideas. I jotted a lot of that down. And I appreciated the idea of like a double dose of outreach being first getting feedback, and then those would be the same people who most likely would attend or like promote their youth to attend. So thank you for that, Nikki. I'm just looking back real quick. Uh I think Nina, do you have your hand up? Did I miss you? Nina, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I lost actually. I lost my thread being listening to Nikki. Um, put my hand down, and if I remember again, I'll put my
No
hand.
problem. No problem
So,
at all. All right. I do see. Is there anyone? I know there are hands up, but it looks like we've.
I just wanted to add on a
Oh, go
little.
ahead, Sasha. No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
In terms of outreach, feedback just from the past experiences, right? Like we were calling and
Yep.
emailing. I left a bunch of voicemails. I suggestion, if possible, I would do a meeting, try to reach out to parent coordinators, assistant principals, like maybe social workers in the school. People Brooklyn College for sure. There's also Touro College. I don't know if we have any relationship with them, right? Um, I can't hear Sean, but Sean is saying something, I guess, yes. So like definitely ahead of time, but I was curious if we can do, yeah, like a WebEx or something like that. And at the end of it, share like a survey to fill out based on, what do you think the kids will need? And then also like, can you share this survey for children as well so that we can try to get data from both sides? I do agree in terms of using ChatGPT actually for research specifically to like figure out what needs and like what interests are young adults, kind of into now, like in terms of careers and stuff like that. I also wanted to kind of mention, I don't know if it makes sense to kind of maybe add on to well, the fact that there's been a significant decline in like civil service jobs interest and from young adults, right? And there's a shortage of teachers, there's definitely, like, for example, of Dean Y is getting less people applying for jobs, and just, a lot of the shift is, changing for sure, is happening for sure. So is there a way to like maybe reach out to specific city agents? I know Dean Y is there every year, but like I don't think I've seen DOE or, other schools like, trying to get kids into like college majors for teaching and, social work and stuff like that. Well, there were some social work people related things. But yeah, like just to see if there's a maybe more presence from our local agencies who would come out and kind of like connect with young adults and, attract for civil service jobs, because this is going to be, shaping up in a very interesting way over the next 10 years or so, the way things are going. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Sasha. I took down some of those ideas that you stated. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Sean, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I guess I was just going to suggest that maybe take a look at the participants from past years. I mean, we have had DCAS with the civil service test information and other city agencies and institutions of higher ed that specialize in teaching degrees. And so I think maybe working backward, because I'm a little bit concerned about the time it takes to do these surveys and whether this means the committee now wants to curate who we invite or who we accept into the event. So if you want to take a look at the list, and if you think that there are agencies, organizations, job providers, and organizations that you don't think would match a need in the youth community, maybe let us know sooner rather than later so we get them off the list, because we haven't waited until January to begin planning this ever. We get to save the dates out to the organizations that have participated before. So a lot of this sounds like great ideas that are going to take some time. So I guess I just will need to try to balance the timing of what we begin with what you're trying to sort of curate or drill down on.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Sean. I don't think we want to exclude anyone from it. The way I was looking at it is making sure that we have insight from youth and their specific parties, related parties, so
Oh
that we
yeah,
make sure we have,
sorry. Yeah, I
yeah.
was going to add, well, we can go back through the surveys we've done in the past too. I mean, I know that maybe trends do change, but there is data, that we can use as a baseline perhaps.
These surveys are from the previous youth conferences, Sean? Thank you. And then Nina, did you put your hand back up? I don't want to skip you, but when I move on to the next slide.
Sorry, my hand didn't go down.
No, you're good.
What's going on?
Ornella, just super quickly, I actually did put my hand back up just to make a
Oh, I
very,
didn't know if it was from before. Go ahead.
I know, I left it up in the middle. Just to make a super quick comment, because Sean, your concern is a really good one, and I think that the planning should continue at a pace, at its normal pace. I think all of these ideas are more like ways to uncover other things, people, organizations, topics that maybe just none of us have thought of, right? Is it likely that we will uncover that the hottest new trend in teen employment is like becoming a hot dog vendor? Highly unlikely. I'm sure none of the survey results will actually like shock any of us, but I think some of this is just a really good way to maybe attempt to think outside of the box, or engage with people that would come, but in a slightly separate way by first asking them for information rather than just inviting them. But I agree with Sean. I think it's very important to keep the normal pace of the scheduling and planning for this, and that all these other things can be done in parallel with the hopes that they would not restrict anybody. Because as my grandma would say, we should be so lucky to have so many people that we can be and organizations that we can be turning people away. I just want to reinforce that I see this as a positive thing that doesn't deter from staying on schedule with planning.
Yeah, the goal is not to deter scheduling. We looked ahead. The goal is to address the gaps we've been seeing and the decline in engagement from youth and their families is to figure out like what do they actually want, to make sure we're curating a space that meets that needs. But definitely in no way, shape, or form are we trying to exclude anyone from participating. I think to your point, it's better to have more there than less. And so far from the list, the participatory list that I looked at previously, we've had a lot of agencies sign up. And we want to keep those relationships. It's just again making sure that when we provide this experience for families and youth, that it matches their specific needs. I am seeing a hand from Eric and then Sasha.
Um, First of all, I want to say that I like the idea of a little bit of music. The DJ idea appeals to me. I think somewhere, I thought I read somewhere in one of our emails, DJ Eric I can't be the DJ. Uh, I thought that was funny. But I do think a little bit of music in that area, in the space, would be nice. Um, one of the things I think that appeals to me about the youth conference and all the organizations that come is sort of the act of discovery. Um, in some ways, I think the youth conference is a showcase of organizations that are within the district, that are hiring, that have services, and it's one of those. I guess, I don't know. A job fair feels very specific to hiring, but it's the idea is sort of similar, where you're going in. There's opportunities for you that you would not have known, and I think that's the kids in some way. I don't think are coming on their own. Some of them do, those enterprising ones, but to me, and having run high school programs, usually the way that people come in, that they go to events, is that a teacher brings them, or I think what Florencia said is very, their youth group, their youth advisor leads them, that their guidance counselor tells them to go, that their mom and their dad, or their parents or their guardians got that information and were like, you are coming to this. So I think there's some dragging that's involved, or encouragement in these directions. So part of my feeling about making sure we're establishing the right connection at the schools is really, in recruiting for programs that I've done in the past with arts programming, trying to get kids to apply from all over the city. Really, what it takes is finding those rock star mentors, those really enthusiastic guidance counselors, those people who are going to make the connection and tell the kid, this is why you got to check this out. And so, in some ways, I feel like the marketing and things, it's really important that they are, attracting kids, and that they're cool, and that they have to have that appeal. And so, messing around with that stuff, I think, is important, and the language really does matter. um, but to me, the essence is really communicating what this is to those people who are going to share it with families and parents. So yeah, I think that's just my point, where I feel like that's why I'm focused on that for December. So just putting that out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. I have Carissa and I think followed by Florencia. Just want to confirm, Nikki and Sasha, did you guys also have questions, or is that hands up from previously?
Questions.
That's just me not knowing how to use WebEx, so you completely please ignore me.
Okay, got you. So Carissa, then Florencia.
People pretty much said it, but just to add on, so it's definitely not changing who's coming, but more so how do we how do we like zhuzh it up a little bit more and make it so that it is engaging for the youth? Because you look at the youth these days and there needs to be some incentive last year I observed like there was a range of youth there, so not all of the kids that were there were like in high school. May have had some middle school people. And then when we think about opportunities, like you would think of a child who is of hiring age to be like 16 and older, but there still needs to be things for the other children. So it's like how, yes, there'll be opportunities for, community service and for jobs, but like, how can we support them in their lives right now as a teenager? Because I feel like we are also missing that piece of it. That how do we, one of the ideas that I had from last year was even like, stuff about hygiene and not necessarily having people who have like city jobs, but like entrepreneurs and having the opportunity to speak to the children about starting their own business and stuff and those things. So just wanted to add that on.
Thank you. We got Florencia and then Sasha. And for the sake of time, I know I'm appreciating all the ideas. I've been jotting down every single word that was said. So after Flo and Sasha, we are going to keep moving on just so that I'm being respectful of everyone's time.
Thank you. In addition to what Carissa said, I was thinking if we could think outside the box, something that I found when my daughter was in high school, uh, she brought in magazines and she spoke to many of her peers, right, that were in high school with her. And a lot of them didn't know what they were going to do. And so she actually pointed out certain things to them, and they were like, oh, I can look into that. And spoke to her guidance counselor that also shared with the some of the students as well. And so I just had an idea. Comic Con is the big thing in New York, and there are illustrators. There's so many different job aspects from that, and even with Canva, with filmmaking, the so and a lot of I find a lot of in my church and in some of the young people that I meet on the street, they're very interested in the arts, right? Just random people, just interested in the arts. So that maybe that could be an added um aspect to it. Maybe if you could get someone from Comic-Con or something, someone to be there. I mean, we all know people that we can reach out to. And so I just wanted to share that just came to me. So, okay.
That's funny you said that because my thought process was CultureCon, and how that brings people to different opportunities too, and like how they curate that space, but definitely aligned,
Right?
Flo. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I think as the last was Sasha.
Yeah, in terms of commenting on the art, actually, the organization that creates Prospect Park concerts, what is it called? BRIC something, right? It's a nonprofit, right? So, I
Oh,
mean, I'm
Brick.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, they have a lot of events. They hire part-time staff, they hire seasonal employees, they hire people to work for staff, like for concerts, and volunteers as well. So, and they're a nonprofit and they get a lot of city funding and private funding. So there's a lot of cool things they do. They also offer a lot of workshops for young adults, for kids, for anybody as well. BAM, maybe reaching out to BAM. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm sure it's been probably done. So, in terms of the question, I had one question is, in terms of reaching out to different schools, specifically high schools, does it make sense to, and I'm willing to do that with a couple of schools, like, does it make sense to try to go literally in person and trying to, like, with flyers and like trying to talk to somebody there and like face to face? Because, like I said, I've called many times, I've left messages, and no one ever called back. I'm not saying that they didn't send kids or anything like that, but Morrow, I went to Morrow. There's 4,000 kids there. Like, I'm happy to go there a couple of times and talk to a couple of people because I know people are busy and people's, like mailboxes are full. A lot of people don't get to all the messages. They don't get to answer everybody. So it's like, I'm happy to go to Midwood. I'm happy to go to Murrow, Madison, and like, try to meet with people in person and like bring the flyers. That. And then another question was on the years we had good attendance, in the past, what was like what worked? Like what could we look back at and like copy, like done, do it again. So like I'm curious from the past years because this is going to be my third one. Yeah. So I'm just curious from feedback.
That's a good question. Sean, can I defer to you to answer that?
Um, Before COVID, there would be like between 400 and close to 500 students. And then during COVID, when we went on the hiatus, we really just haven't managed to get back to those numbers. But, hopefully building a little steadily over the years. Last year was, maybe a little bit better than the year before. And this year will hopefully be better than that. But one of the things, and I discussed this with Ornella and Erica already, but one of the sort of pain points last year was getting posters up in the community. And I know that it's old fashioned and there was, a lot of attempts to be, creative and outreach differently, but posters in the stores, posters, and yes, people, board members they used to sort of vie for turf, like, I get Cortelia Road. Well, I was going to get Cortelia Road. Fine, then I'll do Flatbush. I think that just the presence of the poster, and especially if the community wants to redesign it and make it even more appealing, then it should be somewhere. And it should be everywhere, really. It should be ubiquitous. And yeah, people used to drop them off directly at the schools. I don't know if that's gotten more difficult, if you need to have appointments, if you're just leaving them with the security officer or whatever. But that is something that the board used to do. I would say that this is the rebuilding the outreach and just papering the district is something that I'd like to see if we returned to that, if it does make the difference along with everything else that's on the map now.
Yeah, those are really good suggestions and definitely should be incorporated into this cycle. Actually brings me to just really quickly. Once we source for impact, it'll outline objectives and goals. I'm very metrics person, y'all. But then event type and format, the flyer will match what the source in, and then participate in organization if we're missing any. And then I have an event name down here because it's been something we've been going back and forth with. Like, is it a conference? Is it a resource fair? But I think that will all be dependent on the source information. To Sean's point, though, I did want to talk about the need for volunteers. So there's a lot of moving pieces to this, and I know that last year the office took on a large responsibility of doing a lot of this, which one is just not fair for it to all fall on them. So I just want to say in this space now for everyone that's here, you have given so many beautiful ideas, and once we flesh out when we meet in January, we'll have like action steps and different things. We are going to need individuals on the board here on this call, but even the wider board to step up and support this event, because again, the success of this event is the success of our youth in our district. So just I put on here, I started thinking through like what are some things we might need support for. Pre-event is like designing the flyer, posting physical flyers like Sean just named in hot spots across our districts, calling schools, but to Sasha's points, even visiting the schools in person, contacting the borough president's office, we could figure that out. And then there might be other pre-event things that we need support with. So like maybe if we're going to do this survey, maybe we need people to support with the survey distribution or the focus group. And then for the day of event, is always needs setup. We always need someone at the signing table, obviously cleanup. We normally have someone focused on event photos and videos, but it doesn't hurt for people on the board to do that. And then feedback collection so that we're always getting better each year. And again, these lists may change based on the final logistics of the event, but just wanted to put this out there so those that are on the call can start thinking of like, what are some of the things that I am so eager to support with, and who are people I could tap in my community that could help with some of these items. That way it's not falling on the 3 people in the office, because they have other things outside of the conference that are still day-to-day work that has to be done for our district. So again, we will need volunteers, and there's a lot of moving parts. So I do want to emphasize making sure that we all step up to the plate and support in any way we can and in all ways that we can. All right. And then just wanted to show you guys a quick timeline example. So kind of like what Sean was saying, they typically have a fleshed out list of events. Takes a little while to load, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of like just some of the things that have to be done and like timing that happens for it. So as you can see on here, drafting flyers and posters is typically done in the very beginning of January. I know that Sean has already reached out to the YMCA to confirm dates, so that we'll share that as soon as possible. Preparing texts and reaching and invites. Like there's a long list of things that have to be done. So when we meet in January, hopefully the very beginning, we will have all the tasks and a sign up for everyone who's on the call and the broader board to be able to identify what they want to support with, so that again that the work is distributed evenly. You guys were able to see this, right? Okay. All right.
We can't.
Then,
No, we can't. Yeah, now we can see it.
oh, you guys weren't able to see the um
No, no, you were just talking
uh,
and you were. That's okay.
no.
That's
Okay. Hold on.
that's
I got
okay.
it. Boom. Can y'all see that
Now
now?
we can see it. Yes, now we
Sorry.
can see it.
Okay, yeah, there's a
That's
long
okay.
list of tasks and
We
timeline. I
forgive.
won't talk again
We
over
for,
it. I thought I was talking over it the whole time. My bad,
yeah, we
y'all.
forgive. We forgive
Not the
you.
Gantt chart.
Thank you. All right. I won't spend more time on here, but just again recapping, there's a list of things, there's a timeline. Those things will be shared in the next meeting. So speaking of next meeting, next steps is between now and December 19th, getting input, youth input. I'm gonna take all the feedback that was given here and figure out a formal way to do that. And of course I will share that with you guys as a board. And then when our next meeting will be early to mid-January, where you will receive the completed project plan, projected timeline, and make sure everyone has a signed task. With that being said, that is all. So I want to leave space for any questions, comments, or concerns. How do I stop sharing? Okay.
Oh, we have raised the hand.
Yeah, I think there's some
Uh,
hands up. I see. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have Carissa. Did you raise your hand again, or is that from before?
That kind of was from before, but just wanted to jump on it because I don't know if it's known. I don't know, whatever. I would love to. I said it last year, but I would love to be the person that designs this flyer because it is what I do. It's what I love to do. So we'll put that in at the top of the list. That's it. Okay, bye.
That's a
Okay.
lot. I mean, our volunteer list is already filling up. So we got Carissa
Yeah.
design, and if you look in the chat, people are already vying, just like Sean. She threw down the gauntlet, vying for territory. So people are already look. I think yeah. So take a look. We got Sasha's covering Ditmist, East Flatbush, and Nina looks like she's going to the libraries. So we got people already signing up to take the posters out.
Wow. And then Nikki, thank you for sharing that link. Technology, you never know what's out there. There's a whole platform for helping to programs for helping with volunteers.
Yeah, just a brief comment on that. The school that my daughter goes to uses this all the time. For me, just personally, like I can of course raise my hand and say what I would like to do, but it's always helpful to have like a full menu. And from the presentation you guys just showed, also like Sean has done this. Sean, have you done this 19 times? I think almost 19 times. Like I'm sure we have a pretty fleshed out idea of like what the volunteer roles are, when they're needed. Maybe there are people who can't come to the event, right? But they could do something beforehand. So for me personally, like being able to see what's the full menu of volunteer opportunities and what's the commitment for each. And then also, I think for the posters, which again, clearly this is a poster loving group, myself most of all, like having something where I don't need to be like, hey, Nina, are you going to that library? Because I'm going to this library, right? If there could be something where people can be like, click, I do that one and I commit and it will be done by this date would be awesome. And maybe that's just me, but I love seeing the full menu of options like at a restaurant before I order.
A couple years ago, I went around and I must have gone to about 4 libraries in the area, maybe more, but I didn't have enough stuff. And it was really late in the game. I felt like it was just like a lot later in the game than it should have been. And I was bicycling all over Brooklyn in the pouring rain, but I got them out there. So hopefully a little bit earlier and more stuff to put out. I think the cards, especially in multiple languages was really good because most of the libraries do have like tables where you can put that kind of thing out. And then, maybe one or two, they can't be tremendous because most places just don't have a lot of space. But all the libraries have like a community bulletin board. So if we have, a couple of key languages on the bulletin boards or maybe smaller cards that we can put up, that's just a good
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. That's correct, Nina. Those are my favorite places, the library,
Mm.
because they're so visited. I see Ahmad, Florencia, Sasha, and then Eric. So Ahmad,
Yeah, yeah, quickly. So I have my own full-time designer, so I would love to help in designing it anyway, but I think Carissa can do it herself if she want to do it. Good enough. If not, just let me know. I have a full-time designer, so I can do it anytime. Apart from that, yeah, even if after the event we need anything like putting a video together or just doing something like that, I can also help in that. I will also add that to the our weekly newsletter for more exposure. That will help. I can try to do one more thing. I'm not promising it. I will try to arrange some hot meals. So maybe if we can just say something like hot meals, like maybe like 50 or 60, I can try to push for more, but no commitments yet. So maybe, it can help us attract more people, something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Someone suggested for sign in. So instead of having the manual sign in, I can just create a QR code and people will come, they will just sign in and everyone will have that information. So yeah, pretty much that's it.
do you see how much ideas come up when we all come together? I love it. Sasha loves QR codes. Every time someone says QR code, Sasha's in that chat. um,
Yes.
After we have Florencia, Eric, and then Sasha. Oh, and then Sean, I see you as well.
Yeah, hi again. I what I've done in the past is I've brought flyers to establishments that I am a patron of and also just continue within those areas. I've done my church and other churches. I've done churches within our community and outside of our communities. I'm affiliated with CB17 area because my church is in that area. So, and it kind of borders. So I usually reach out to others. But basically, I go to all the establishments that I shop at and just continue down the block. I've been on Foster, Cortelyou, Flatbush, all over, anywhere that I shop within, and yeah, so I think we can, that's one of the things we could do is go to people we're familiar with as well and then just continue. I continue all the way down and I said, listen, this person, the food co-op, this one, so forth and so on, Natural Frontier, they've you know they're sharing the flyers, so how about you? And it's easy. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for the poster season to come up. As I walk through the neighborhood, I should see our flyers everywhere in every window because we all frequent these businesses. Um, Next, I have Eric.
I really like the idea of a poster on every block. We'll know exactly where Florencia shops. Um, but I think this is a goal, right? We got to paper the district and see, see what the impact is of that. So I'm excited about that. The other idea that was mentioned by, I believe, Jason, not if I'm correct, if that's who it was, the who used to be a part of the youth committee, Sean, back in the day, blonde guy. He was at the youth conference, but what he
Maybe you're
said,
thinking of Jonathan Judge, the founder of the event.
that's what I'm thinking of. Jonathan said that on the day of, they used to go to the train station in the morning, and in the sort of like it just hit the kids going into school or on the way out, for families at like the 2 to 3 o'clock hour, 4 o'clock when people are getting off the train. So he was like, that's something we used to do. It'd be really fun. You get out there, you have a little table. So I don't know, maybe there's a sign up genius spot for that. Nikki, maybe you'll be our sign up genius in residence once we get the menu out and set that up. They use it at our school as well. That's a really great idea. Just, you can just see the commitments that everybody's making. I think in the past we've used an Excel spreadsheet. It works, but the sign up genius is pretty. It makes it easy to click and do this. But I'm excited for December getting on these contacts with these high schools. So that's my goal. All right, that's it. I think that's it for me.
Thank you. Next we have, I think it's Sasha, and then Sean. I think you're after Sasha.
Question about like reaching out to high schools. Like I said, I can visit 3 to 4 high schools. I mean, I'm sure I can do 4. I just guess like I guess I need some guidance in terms of like what should I be saying like on behalf of, who's and what and all of that. And yeah, I mean, I can try to go in and I'm sure I can try to see, especially Morrow, because I went there, not that there are people still there who were working when I was there, but still, I'm sure, they're very open and, I know a lot of kids who go there now or like went there recently. So like, lots of people have good experience. I also have a couple of friends, older friends whose kids are there now. So like I can try to, hit up the kids and see if they can share it with their friends and stuff like that. And yes, I'm excited for the QR code because I do think that the flyer just like easy access, right? Like you just you use the QR code, the link is saved, you can go on your phone, like you can email it to yourself, you can text it to a friend, and then it'll just be in your history, right? Versus like where you forgot to take a picture of it or not, you lost the flyer. I still think the physical flyers are super important and I will definitely use them. I always shared with a bunch of like networks that I have. I own 2 preschools in the neighborhood, small, but I know a lot of parents. And yes, our kids are small, but I know a lot of educators and providers, and like I do, I'm a city contractor, so like I'm in a lot of networks. So like, people I work with have kids, they have teenagers or young adults. And people need jobs. And like one thing I was gonna suggest is question about like design of the flyer. Of course, I'm not a designer, but I do make flyers for stuff, and like I'm not trying to offer my design services, but question about like maybe adding a slogan like get a job and then something about youth conference, something like that. Just something about like get hired, because some people are like youth conference and they're like, I don't know what that means. And then they kind of, like you have to catch the interest for a second. So I'm curious about the flyer designs, and I would love to. I don't know if we're taking a vote on it or how would this work.
Yes.
And
Sasha, this is pre-planning, so there are no like immediate tasks at this specific moment.
yeah,
These are just like ideas, thoughts, lessons learned from the past, feedback.
yeah,
So there's no immediate action, so you don't have to go to school yet. Eric is gonna
not
work.
not going anywhere. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we'll have that. Eric is gonna flesh out the approach to schools, and then share that when that's finalized. And then in regards to the flyer, same thing. The flyers design, the name, all that would be based on the approach of the event we want to go to. So we wouldn't I like the idea of like putting a catchy slogan, but we wouldn't know the slogan yet until we know
No,
how we're trying to target
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
event.
yeah,
Yeah, but
for
that's
sure.
a
This
good
is just
idea.
like, yeah, throwing ideas. And the very last common question I had, since this is going to be my third one, and usually for the last 2 years when I've been there, I've always ended up being the person who's kind of like greeting people or like, moving people or kids around and stuff like that. And also like sending them to the mock room interviews. And, it takes a lot of effort because the kids get shy, they get a little awkward. Once they get in, many of them were very happy. A few came with parents or like their teachers. So they were kind of like also pushing them in there, which was great. And like, I love that part of the event. I think it's super valuable. But it is definitely like I would like if I can do it again this year. I'm totally happy to do it. It would be nice to have a helper with that, like another person to do it with. And then maybe is it possible or idea for having a speaker at the event or something of some sort? Maybe I'm
No,
sure
so
it's
we have tried to do that
no.
before, and a lot of the elected
Okay.
officials who come kind of want time, but then the sort of conundrum there is that a lot of the times the youth participants are engaged at some of the tables where they're getting the resources. And when that
Mhm.
stops and it's interrupted, it's hard to pick that energy back up. It's sort of
Right.
why the workshops have sort of come and gone and come and gone. It's because, the upside is the workshops have pretty good material, but then there's the downside of that is sort of like disturbs the ebb and flow of the resource fair that's going on. And this
Mhm.
has been marketed in the past as a jobs fair. And then because, and Nikki sort of pointed this out, it really is hard to get direct job providers to the age range is too broad and
Mhm.
the timing isn't always quite right. And so it changed from a job fair because it felt like it was setting up expectations that weren't being met. So because it's such a broad array of different times, different types of, some of it is jobs, some of it is support, some of it is programs, some of it is education, some of it is emotional support,
Right.
health support. Really popular tables are the ones that, hand out condoms, for instance. So I think resource fair is something that Ornella and I have been talking about that might sound a little bit more on the nose than conference. Um, and yeah, nobody's cold calling at the schools. You can't just walk into the schools. So I'll work with you, Eric, to get that set up. I think in addition, we've always reached out to the parents coordinator, some group of guidance counselors, and then sometimes the principal, especially in the lower grade schools. But I think maybe, Eric, we can reach out to the schools and their websites to look at some of the student clubs, include the president of the student body, and then whatever like student clubs there are. And Sasha, back to your point about sort of corralling, leading, guiding students when they're at the event, I would love to get somebody who's more in the age group or not as far removed from the age group. And I'm saying that to you, Sasha, you're super young, but I mean, but I mean more like, our presenters this evening were, dynamic. James Conley at the FDC event was like such a great MC. So somebody who has that energy and maybe um, pulling from some of the organizations to also volunteer at the event away from their own tables, I think might work. And then, if anybody has a really energetic teen in their life who might want to be on the volunteer side, not just the participant side, that'd be great. But we will get our volunteer opportunities menu out so we can add to that and turn it into whatever app, turn it over to whatever app, the geographic assignment for flyering and all of that. But also if we could think about how we want to cover cost, if there's organizations in the past, COPO has picked up some of the bill, the YMCA gives us the event space for, like a quarter of what they would normally. Oh, and also one thing I wanted to make sure I said is to whatever extent the flyers are going to get, you're going to deadline the flyers. Remember, they have to be ahead of that deadline because we need to get them translated into 5 different languages with our translation volunteers. And that's it. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Sean. No, those were good. Um, And then, yeah, I didn't have MC on the volunteer list, so definitely add in that because that makes a big difference. Um, you had something to say, Sean? Did I cut you off? No? Okay. Um, I don't want to make sure I didn't miss anybody that didn't have opportunity to speak. I'm just going through this. Okay, it looks like everyone who had a hand up had an opportunity to speak. We are at 8:26, so I just want to reiterate in the next 3 minutes so that we get off on time. Things that are coming, I am going to internalize all the feedback that was shared, especially about the source and user input portion, to make sure that we complete that by December 19th, the latest. And I'm doing December 19th is a very arbitrary date, but it's prior to families and kids going off to the holiday break. And then it gives us enough time to plan ahead before January. And then we will meet. There will be a meeting in January, depending on the schedule, early January or mid January, where there will be a list of assigned tasks, a completed project plan that everyone will be able to get so that everyone could sign up and commit to what they're going to do to help bring the youth conference to life. All right. With the last 2 minutes left, any final questions, thought, burning? Like, I have to say this or I will not feel complete tonight.
Hopefully this is not soliciting, but the first, oh my God, what date is it? I believe, oh my God, sorry. I work at a school called the Brooklyn Waldorf School, and every December we have an event, which is the largest event that we have in our school. We shut down the school and we turn all of these rooms into these magical rooms. So if you have children, preferably from like nursery till about maybe 5th grade, please reach out. I wish I had a flyer in my hand. I should have picked it up today at work, but it is December 6th, and it is at the Brooklyn Waldorf School. It's 11 Jefferson Avenue. And it's free to do some things. It is a ticket-based event where you buy tickets, but it's very affordable. So please reach out if you'd like to come. And
Carissa,
that's
if
it.
you send it to the office, I'm pretty sure they will share it out as well.
Yes, thank you for that. That's a good idea. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank everyone for your engagement tonight. It has been 2 hours. I appreciate you all showing up and sharing space, and I'm looking forward to what we accomplish over the next couple months. All right, everyone, have a good night.
Good night. Awesome meeting.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Great meeting.
Good night.
Good night.